Hello everyone and welcome back to another military history video of this channel. I am your host, Military History. In today's video, we will be discussing about one of the most well-known tanks of the Second World War, the Soviet Kv-1. We will delve into the reason behind the development of the Kv-1, its specifications and technical characteristics, how it performed in combat, and the reasoning behind its eventual downfall. Now without further ado, let's get into the video. The story of the Kv-1 is certainly an interesting one, as the Kv was born out of a desire, following the First World War, for a heavy tank to assist in breakthrough operations. During the 1930s, the Soviet Union experimented with several heavy tank designs, such as the SMK and T-35. However, several of these designs were generally too heavy or impractical for use in combat. A meeting in May 1938 led to a redesign of the previous design of the SMK, and the new tank was given the name Kv after Marshal Clemente Voroshilov, the People's Defense Commissar. Initially, the Kv was not meant for production, however it was later given a direct order from Stalin himself. The Kv-1 model 1939 was nearing 45 tons in weight, with a long hull stretching 6.75 meters or 22.14 feet that was relatively narrow if not for the very large tracks. However, as no transmission was able to cope with such mass, the designers gave both the Kv and the SMK an old but sturdy caterpillar system, which proved tricky to install and was unreliable in combat operations. The driver sat in the middle of the hull, and the radio operator, who was also the machine gunner, sat on the left of the hull, with the three other crew members being located in and below the turret. The crew had poor visibility with only a few narrow vision slits to look out of. The driver's frontal vision slit was made of poor quality laminated glass, which was blurry most of the time, and his vision periscope had limited traverse. The commander, which was also the loader, had two turret periscopes. The wheel train was comprised of front idler wheels and rear drive sprockets, such as on the T-28, and a set of 6 twin road wheel bogies, each sprung to an independent torsion bar apparatus. There were also, due to the weight of the tracks, 3 large and thick return rollers. The protection of the tank, which was 75 mm on the front and sides, with the front of the turret having an armor thickness of 90 mm. However, the glacis plate had only an armor thickness of 40 mm. Nonetheless, the Kv-1's armor layout was unrivaled for the time, if not for rare equivalents such as the British Matilda Mark II, which had an armor thickness of 80 mm, and the French B-1, which had an armor thickness of 70 mm, and was way ahead of any German tank at the time. The Kv-1 was initially powered by a V2K V12 diesel engine. This power plant displaced nearly 40 liters in volume and generated 600 horsepower at 1,800 rpm. It was the same engine as the V2 in the T-34, with the K simply indicating the engine's configuration when connected to the Kv-1's drivetrain. The top speed of the Kv-1 on flat surfaces was 35 km per hour or 22 miles per hour, which was actually quite impressive considering the tank's weight and the time period. In regards to armament, a 76.2mm F-32 was chosen as its main armament, but due to delays in production, the first 50 pre-series models and all remaining 1939 models were equipped with a medium-velocity short-barrel L-11 of the same caliber, which fitted a recognizable recuperator above the barrel. The F-32 was able to fire armor-piercing and high-explosive shells. The BR-3502 armor-piercing rounds were capable of reaching 612 meters per second, or 2,007 feet per second, giving them 66 millimeters of armor-piercing capacity at 500 meters. Secondary armaments comprised of a coaxial DT 7.62mm machine gun, another in the rear turret ball mount, and another in the hull ball mount. As production of the Kv-1 began in 1940, at a slow pace, Only a handful of Kv-1s were operational when Operation Barbarossa began. About 530 Kv-1s were operational and put into 29 mechanized corps, alongside all available T-34s, which totaled at 1,590 tanks all in all, and about a third of these units were made up of Kv-1s. They first met the Wehrmacht on June 23, 1941, the second day of Operation Barbarossa, more precisely at the Battle of Vesinia, where the Soviet 2nd Tank Division from the 3rd Mechanized Corps clashed with the 6th Panzer Division near Skadvil. They encountered little resistance from the forces composed mainly of Pak-36 and Pak-38 anti-tank guns and Panzer 35T light tanks. The second day, a single Kv-1 reportedly blocked the advance of some elements of the 6th Panzer Division for 24 hours before running out of ammunition and being abandoned by its crew. It was hit by dozens of different calibers but remained unscathed. At Krasnogvardisk, Gachina near Leningrad on August 14, 1941, a small unit of 5 well-hidden and entrenched Kv-1s, plus 2 in reserve, with twice the usual amount of ammunition, including a majority of armor-piercing shells, was skillfully placed around the single road bordering a swamp. This unit, commanded by Lieutenant Zinovy Kolobanov, destroyed some 43 German tanks from the German 8th Panzer Division during a single half-hour of action. Kolobanov was later awarded the Order of Lenin and made Hero of the USSR. So it was clear that in the beginning stages of Operation Barbarossa, the Kv-1 was very effective as its armor could withstand most anti-tank and tank guns that were fielded by the Wehrmacht, and its gun could penetrate most German armor. In spite of the exceptional performance of the Kv-1 on many different occasions, their overall impact on the 1941 fighting was negligible. Their technical superiority could not overcome the overwhelming tactical and operational shortcomings of the Red Army. The most obvious problem was the lack of training for the crews, which compounded the frequent mechanical failures. At the time of their introduction, the average service life of a new Soviet tank was 1,000 to 1,500 kilometers before factory rebuilding was necessary. The unreliability of the transmission was also a major problem, and when some variants were provided with enhanced armor after the increasing effectiveness of German anti-tank guns became apparent, the increased weight caused additional mechanical issues, leading to more breakdowns. Another factor was that the main gun in the Kv-1 was identical to that used in the T-34, a platform that was easier and cheaper to manufacture, and far more reliable in service. Like most weapons of war, they do not last forever and will eventually be replaced or become obsolete, and this was no exception for the Kv-1. Despite its impressive capabilities, there were eventual drawbacks to the Kv-1, which ultimately led to its downfall into late World War II. The development of better heavy tanks such as the IS-1 and IS-2 further pushed the Kv-1 into obsolescence. So more than anything, it was time that eventually caught up with the Kv-1. If you stayed till the end, thank you for watching, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments down below. Join me next time as I explore more fascinating stories from the pages of military history. This is Military History.